This is a full 1 hour Demon Slayer. What ifs combining all of my best videos from October into one. What if Tanjiro had his memories from the beginning of the story? So, I actually got this idea from the Jaegerists. I was just scrolling through my For You page on YouTube and saw this video pop up. I haven't watched it yet, but it seemed like a really good idea. So I decided to put it in one of my posts, and you guys picked it. So thank you to the Jaegerists for this idea. So, we're gonna make Tanjiro have all his memories from the very beginning. That means he already knows how to use sun breathing to its fullest, because he has every flashback and memory up to the point where Muzan gets killed in the original story. He knows everything: how to use the selfless state, how to activate the Demon Slayer mark, and how to perfect sun breathing even more. So, let's get this started. Tanjiro goes out to sell coal, and just like in the original timeline, the old man tells him not to go back up the mountain because it's dangerous at night and demons roam around. Muzan shows up and kills his family. And when Tanjiro comes back, he sees Nezuko transforming. He tries to help her, and then Giyu arrives. They fight, and Giyu sends Tanjiro to Urokodaki's place for training. Urokodaki starts training him in water breathing, but Tanjiro quickly realizes sun breathing fits him way better. Urokodaki doesn't question it much. He just says, whatever fits you best, use that. Fun fact, Rengoku trained Mitsuri, and she couldn't master flame breathing, so she made her own, love breathing. So, this actually fits perfectly. Tanjiro uses sun breathing throughout his training, and easily kills every demon in the final selection, including the hand demon. He goes through all the Season 1 events pretty much the same, all the way to Mount Natagumo, Rui's mountain. But this time, he's far stronger. He actually cuts off Rui's head himself, using sun breathing and the selfless state. Now, he doesn't have his Demon Slayer mark yet, because you can only unlock it through a near-death experience, which he hasn't had. But with sun breathing and the selfless state alone, he's already powerful enough to destroy Rui. After this, people talk about how defeating a lower moon qualifies him to become a Hashira, but Tanjiro turns it down since he's still not on the same level as the current Hashira, and he's too humble to accept it anyway. Everything else plays out the same at the Hashira meeting, except Tanjiro fights back way harder this time. The Ubuyashiki family head still declares Nezuko safe, since both Giyu and Urokodaki vouch for her, and the Hashira reluctantly agree. So, this time, Tanjiro already knows what's going to happen during the Mugen Train Arc. He asks the Ubuyashiki family to send another Hashira with them because he doesn't want Rengoku to die, and he doesn't fully trust his own abilities to defeat Akaza yet, even though he already knows the selfless state. Since Tanjiro warns them, the Ubuyashiki family decides to take his advice seriously. They say, well, we'll send another Hashira anyway, just in case. So they send Sanemi, since he's usually close by and always training. So now it's Rengoku and Sanemi going on the Mugen Train mission with Tanjiro, Inosuke, Zenitsu, and Nezuko. Everything plays out the same at first. They all fall asleep in Enmu's dream trap. When they wake up, Rengoku and Sanemi protect the passengers, while Tanjiro, Inosuke, Zenitsu, and Nezuko go after Lower Moon 1, Enmu. They defeat Enmu, the train derails, and that's when Upper Moon 3 Akaza appears. But this time, Sanemi is there, and Tanjiro already knows exactly how this fight is going to go down. Rengoku and Sanemi put up an incredible fight against Akaza, and when Akaza starts to get the upper hand, Tanjiro uses the selfless state to get behind him and slice him clean through the neck while he's distracted. Akaza sees the image of his fiancée, finally finds peace, and accepts death. After that, they all return to the Demon Slayer course. Tanjiro still doesn't unlock his Demon Slayer mark yet, since he hasn't had that near-death trigger moment. Now, after the Mugen Train Arc, we move straight into the Entertainment District Arc. So, we can just skip all the dialogue and get straight to the end of the Entertainment District Arc, starting with Daki versus Tanjiro, which is one of the first major fights we see. This time, Tanjiro actually kills Daki, instead of going into that blood-eyed rage mode where he starts doubting himself, saying he isn't special. That whole moment never happens. Nezuko never has to get out of her box either, because Tanjiro cuts Daki's neck clean off right away. He's way more experienced with sun breathing now, and already knows how to use the selfless state. But the real problem starts when Gyutaro pops out. He nearly kills Tanjiro, but Tengen, Zenitsu, and Inosuke arrive just in time to help. Tanjiro and Tengen take on Gyutaro, while Zenitsu and Inosuke handle Daki. The fight plays out pretty similar to the original timeline, except this time, Tengen doesn't lose lose his arm. Once it's all over, Nezuko wakes up from her box and heals everyone from the poison. And that's basically the whole Entertainment District arc. Everything ends faster and smoother in this timeline. Now Tanjiro probably still chips his sword while fighting Daki. Let's just say he got hit by a surprise attack, or maybe from the pressure of fighting Gyutaro. Since Tanjiro's almost Hashira level at this point, that would make sense. But unlike before, he doesn't fall into a coma afterward. Instead, he goes right back to training his sun breathing even more while waiting for his new sword to be sent. Eventually, he travels to the Swordsmith Village, and that's where we start the next arc. Everything at the start happens the same. We see the hot spring scene and all that, but things start changing once the battle begins. When Tanjiro is fighting the four emotions, they keep multiplying. Muichiro, the mist Hashira, gets blasted away again, and Tanjiro's in a near-death situation. Nezuko's getting beat up, Genya's almost dying, and Tanjiro's all alone. That's when he unlocks his Demon Slayer mark. From there, he completely turns the fight around. He's slicing through every clone, pushing them all back with pure speed and precision. Then Nezuko gets trapped under rubble, and she gives Tanjiro her red blade power. With that boost, Tanjiro wipes out the four emotions. Meanwhile, Genya and Nezuko try to find the main body but can't cut it, so Tanjiro steps in to help. As all the four emotions merge into one, Mitsuri returns and holds off the new merged form, while Tanjiro, Nezuko, and Genya locate the real body and finally decapitate it. Meanwhile, Muichiro is over fighting Upper Moon 5, and everything there happens almost exactly like in the original timeline. Nezuko still becomes immune to sunlight, and Tanjiro finishes off Upper Moon 4 by cutting off his head. And that wraps up the Swordsmith Village arc in this version. Now we move into the Hashira Training Arc. But this time, Rengoku is still alive, and that changes things up quite a bit. So, with Tanjiro basically being Hashira level right now, he's got the Selfless State and the Demon Slayer mark mastered. During the Hashira Training Arc, he's actually helping teach these abilities to others. With Rengoku still alive, he's also part of the training, making sure everyone's swordsmanship and form are solid. He's kind of doing what Muichiro did in the original timeline, checking everyone's breathing techniques and refining their style. That's really the only major change in the training arc. Everything else still plays out the same. Muzan's plan moves forward, and he eventually kills the Ubuyashiki family head. All the Hashira, including Rengoku, rush to him, and they all end up getting trapped inside the Infinity Castle. Now, before we get into the fights, I just want to say, if you watched my What If Yoriichi Was in Tanjiro's Era video, I made a little mistake there. I said Akaza was alive when he was actually dead. So my apologies for that one. I just mix up a lot sometimes with so many what ifs. Anyway, in this timeline, Akaza is dead. So that leaves Kaigaku, the Biwa woman, Upper Moon 1, and Upper Moon 2 still alive. Let's start with the Upper Moon 1 fight. Tanjiro joins that battle, and because he has both the Selfless State and the Demon Slayer mark, he's able to save Muichiro's life. Kokushibo still fights with that same intensity, but this time, Tanjiro's presence really shakes him. When Tanjiro uses sun breathing, it reminds Kokushibo of his brother, Yoriichi. That sends him into a rage at first, but after he's decapitated by Tanjiro, Gyomei, Sanemi, and Muichiro working together, Kokushibo finally understands everything. He realizes his jealousy of his brother was pointless, accepts his death, and fades away peacefully. Now for Upper Moon 2, this fight goes way differently too. Giyu joins Shinobu, Kanao, and Inosuke against Doma. Remember, Shinobu said it would take at least 3 Hashira-level fighters to defeat him. And in this version, they actually have that. Inosuke and Kanao together are basically Hashira level. Giyu is the 3rd strongest Hashira, and Shinobu's speed and poison make her incredibly dangerous. Together, they overpower Doma without needing Shinobu to sacrifice herself. Giyu's defense with water breathing, and Kanao's precision with her eyes finish him off once Shinobu's poison starts weakening him. Meanwhile, Rengoku helps Mitsuri and Obanai fight the Biwa woman. Yushiro, the good demon, joins in and helps take control of the Infinity Castle. The 4 of them work together and take her down, but Muzan realizes what's happening. He kills the Biwa woman and tries to destroy everything, but Yushiro manages to pull everyone out before that happens. Now we get to the Sunrise Countdown arc, and this time, everything ends way faster. Tanjiro already knows how to use the Selfless State, the Demon Slayer mark, and sun breathing to its fullest. With his memories from the future, he already knows exactly where Muzan's 7 hearts are and how to strike them. With all the Hashira alive and fighting alongside him, Muzan doesn't stand a chance. They trap him in the sunlight and completely burn him away. No one dies in this timeline, so this is another perfect ending for Demon Slayer. Rengoku survives, Shinobu survives, everyone lives, but the Demon Slayer mark still takes its toll. Rengoku and Tanjiro both eventually die peacefully from the mark years later. Obanai and Mitsuri get married and live out their final years together before their mark claims them too. Gyomei dies as well, just like Kokushibo predicted, but he dies in peace knowing the children forgave him, and it was all a misunderstanding. Sanemi and Giyu both survive, and Shinobu ends up with Giyu in this version. It's a peaceful ending, the kind Demon Slayer never got, but I think it fits perfectly for this what if. What if Yoriichi was in Tanjiro's era, the current era in Demon Slayer? You guys wanted this from my post, so check out my posts to pick what videos I do. Now let's get right into it. We already covered what if Kokushibo, Michikatsu. Yoriichi's was in Tanjiro's era, but this time we're covering just Yoriichi. That means the Hashira and Tanjiro are overall weaker as a group. But since Yoriichi is insanely overpowered anyway, it changes everything. So here's how we're going to do this. Yoriichi already accomplished everything in his own era. Kokushibo still became a demon. That part doesn't change. Yoriichi still met Muzan, so we'll skip all that. We're starting right after Yoriichi leaves the Kamado family's house back in his timeline. A portal suddenly opens, and Yoriichi gets dropped into the current Demon Slayer era. He appears right when Tomioka, Tanjiro, and Nezuko are meeting for the first time. Nezuko has just turned into a demon, and Tanjiro is desperately defending her against Giyu. Yoriichi stands back and watches everything unfold. Later, as Tanjiro and Nezuko walk to Urokodaki to learn water breathing, Yoriichi approaches. He looks around and realizes this is the same place he had been centuries ago. But now it's snowing, and the Kamado family still lives here. He notices Tanjiro's Hanafuda earrings, the same ones he gave to Tanjiro's ancestors. With his sharp mind, Yoriichi quickly pieces it together. He has jumped forward in time, into the Tanjiro Kamado era. Yoriichi quickly asks Tanjiro if Muzan is still alive in the future. He tells Tanjiro everything, that he's from the past and all that. Tanjiro doesn't really believe him, but they still go on. Tanjiro even says, I don't even know who Muzan is, because if you guys remember from the story, Urokodaki, the former water Hashira, is the one who first tells Tanjiro about Muzan. Tanjiro hasn't even gotten to that point yet, so Tanjiro, Yoriichi, and Nezuko all show up at Urokodaki's shack. By now, Yoriichi already understands that Nezuko doesn't eat humans, so he accepts her. Urokodaki sits down and asks, who is this man? Because in Giyu's letter, Giyu only said Nezuko and Tanjiro were coming. He never mentioned Yoriichi, so Urokodaki doesn't know who this strange man is. Yoriichi notices Urokodaki's outfit, the kimono with the wave pattern, and immediately recognizes it. He knows that means Urokodaki uses water breathing. Yoriichi tells him straight up that he's from the past, but no one believes him. They just think he's crazy. But inside, Yoriichi is deeply saddened that no one has defeated Muzan yet. After all these years, Muzan is still alive, and demons are still terrorizing the world. So instead of just sitting by, Yoriichi watches as Urokodaki begins to train Tanjiro. He carefully observes how much water breathing has changed over the many years that passed. Remember, Yoriichi taught all the original Hashira in his generation the breathing techniques, so he knows them better than anyone. I think Yoriichi would eventually take over the training from Urokodaki, because honestly, he understands even water breathing better than Urokodaki does, since Yoriichi helped create it. On top of that, Yoriichi teaches Tanjiro sun breathing, because Tanjiro's sword turned black, just like Yoriichi's did. Yoriichi is very surprised that someone could actually use sun breathing, because everyone who tried in his era failed, even his own brother, Michikatsu, who became Kokushibo. This shocks Yoriichi, but if you remember, he once said there were other swordsmen who died with black blades, and that a black blade is linked to sun breathing. That's one of the biggest hidden plot points in Demon Slayer. The only reason Tanjiro can handle it is because his family practiced the Hinokami Kagura for generations, shaping their bodies to withstand it. So this time, Tanjiro learns way more about sun breathing, directly from the original master himself, Yoriichi. He's taught the full depth of Hinokami Kagura, not just scraps of it. Meanwhile, Urokodaki still places his hypnotic suggestion on Nezuko to ensure she won't harm humans. Then, Tanjiro, trained under Yoriichi, goes to final selection. He kills every single demon with ease, including the hand demon, who he takes down effortlessly. After that, Tanjiro kills all the demons he did in Season 1 just fine, until we get up to Rui's Mountain. Rui's Mountain is probably going to be super different, because Yoriichi actually takes this mission totally seriously, unlike the others. Tanjiro is stronger, but he doesn't have that much real experience. since Yoriichi usually kills most of the demons before Tanjiro even gets the chance. So once Yoriichi goes up the mountain with Tanjiro and Inosuke, he sees demon slayers being overwhelmed by the thread demons. He immediately slices through all the threads, rushes the demon controlling them, and kills it instantly. After that, he kills the father demon, and then wipes out Rui's entire family. Finally, Rui himself gets cornered by Yoriichi, and it's not even a fight. Yoriichi uses sun breathing with the Demon Slayer mark and slices Rui's neck super clean before Tanjiro or anyone else can even reach him. This whole arc turns into Yoriichi being way too overpowered for Lower Moon 5 Rui. Afterward, Gyou and Shinobu arrive, only to see that every demon has already been killed. The only thing left for Yoriichi to do is help save Zenitsu from the spider demon, which Shinobu then heals with her antidote. From there, Yoriichi, Tanjiro, and Nezuko are brought to the Hashira meeting. This time though, Yoriichi is traveling with them, and the Hashira are furious that someone like him would be protecting a demon. Sanemi especially tries to take Nezuko from Tanjiro, saying she's dangerous and will eventually try to drink human blood. Yoriichi steps in, and Sanemi challenges him, but Yoriichi easily pins Sanemi to the ground without effort until the master arrives and stops the fight. Now we get to the Mugen Train Arc. Like I said in my What If Kokushibo Was in Tanjiro's Timeline video, Yoriichi really wanted to meet the Flame Hashira. In his original timeline, after his wife died, the very first Hashira he met was the Flame Hashira. So here, Yoriichi is curious to see what the new Flame Hashira, Rengoku, is like. Because of that, Yoriichi joins Rengoku on the Mugen Train. So after that, Tanjiro, Inosuke, Zenitsu, Yoriichi, and Rengoku all go on the Mugen Train Arc. This time, the reason they're going is because Yoriichi wants to talk to Rengoku. But anyway, let's just skip straight to the fighting. We get Lower Moon 1, Enmu. Yoriichi and Rengoku stay behind to protect the train, while Inosuke, Zenitsu, Nezuko, and Tanjiro head to kill Enmu. After the train derails, Upper Moon 3, Akaza shows up. But this time, Yoriichi, Tanjiro, and Rengoku are all there. Tanjiro is way stronger now, since he understands how to use sun breathing and the Demon Slayer mark. And honestly, Yoriichi doesn't even need help. Yoriichi alone could solo Akaza easily. He activates his selfless state, and with one swift strike, he slices Akaza down. Akaza's memories come flooding back, and instead of dragging Rengoku into death, Akaza basically lets go and accepts the end. So in this timeline, Yoriichi kills Upper Moon 3 instantly, with Rengoku barely needing to lift a finger. Afterward, the group heads back to the Demon Slayer cores. Yoriichi is quickly recognized as one of the strongest warriors ever, promoted to the first ever Sun Hashira. At this point, he's even stronger than Gyomei, the strongest Hashira in the original timeline. Now, the Swordsmith Village arc still happens, but not much changes. Tanjiro still doesn't have his new sword yet, and Yoriichi doesn't interfere too heavily. Tanjiro is just a little stronger than usual, but the Entertainment District arc does change. This time, when Tanjiro faces Daki, he slices through her faster. Gyutaro comes out right away, and Nezuko doesn't need to risk her life to save him. Tengen arrives quickly, and with Tanjiro already pushing sun breathing to new levels, they defeat Gyutaro without Tanjiro losing an arm. In this fight, Tanjiro unlocks his Demon Slayer mark, and afterward, Nezuko removes the poison from everyone, so no one dies. From here, Yoriichi begins teaching Tanjiro even more. He shows him how to use the selfless state, and explains how to master the Demon Slayer mark. By the time the Hashira Training Arc comes, it goes completely differently. Instead of Gyomei leading the final training, it's Yoriichi himself. Yoriichi focuses on unlocking marks and refining breathing styles. Since he created the original techniques, the entire core becomes much stronger than in the original timeline. Now we get to the Infinity Castle battle. This time, Yoriichi goes straight to Upper Moon 1, Kokushibo. Instead of Muichiro stumbling on him first, Yoriichi already knows his brother is there and calls him out directly. What happens is basically a 1 versus 1 between the two. And since we know from the manga that even when Yoriichi was old, he nearly killed Kokushibo. In this version where Yoriichi is in his prime, he simply cuts him down instantly. It's sad, but also inevitable. Meanwhile, the Upper Moon 2 fight against Doma goes differently as well. Instead of Shinobu having to sacrifice herself, she fights alongside Kanao, Inosuke, and this time Gyomei too. Remember Shinobu said it takes at least 3 Hashira level fighters to kill Doma? Here, that requirement is fulfilled, with Shinobu, Gyomei, Kanao, and Inosuke, they managed to defeat Doma without Shinobu's death. The Akaza fight is also different. Rengoku unlocks his Demon Slayer mark, while Tanjiro uses the Selfless State. Together, they bring Akaza down way faster. Zenitsu still fights Kaigaku, and that plays out the same. Obanai and Mitsuri handle the Biwa woman with Tamayo's help. Finally, Muzan realizes Yoriichi is alive. Realistically, if Muzan saw Yoriichi, he would have fled immediately. But for the sake of the what if, we'll say Muzan stayed, because his Infinity Castle control was compromised, and he got cornered by all the Hashira. After killing the Biwa woman, Muzan has no escape left. Now it's Yoriichi, Muzan, and all the Hashira in the final showdown. But with Yoriichi in his prime, the fight isn't even close. Muzan, slowed down by the poison Tamayo injected, can't keep up. Yoriichi slices him apart and ends the battle that haunted him for centuries. That's the main outcome of this what if. Yoriichi arrives in Tanjiro's era, and everything changes. The Hashira survive, the Demon Slayer core is stronger than ever, and Muzan falls much earlier. What if Tanjiro was trained by Gyomei? You guys voted for this one on my post, so go check that out if you haven't already. I wasn't really sure what you guys wanted. Some of you said he should go through Season 1 first, learn water breathing, and then train with Gyomei, while others said he should start training with him right away. I'm guessing most of you meant right from the beginning, so let's get into it. After Giyu and Tanjiro fought, instead of Giyu telling him to go to Urokodaki, Giyu takes Tanjiro straight to the Demon Slayer core. Giyu's still kinda iffy about the whole Nezuko being a demon thing, but on the way there, he starts believing she wouldn't hurt humans. When they get there, the Hashira meeting happens about the same. Sanemi still acts crazy, stabs Nezuko, and all that. But when the master shows up, he already knows there are good demons out there, like Tamayo. With Giyu vouching for Nezuko, the master decides to accept her. That means Tanjiro gets to meet the other Hashira much earlier and actually connect with them, especially Gyomei, the Stone Hashira. Gyomei sees how determined Tanjiro is and decides to take him under his wing. So the biggest difference here is that Tanjiro learns stone breathing instead of water breathing. Everything else from Season 1 still happens mostly the same. He still meets Zenitsu and Inosuke at the mansion, but now his whole fighting style is completely different. When they reach Rui's Mountain, it all plays out about the same. Tanjiro still defeats the Mother Spider Demon and her family, but when Tanjiro faces Rui, he unlocks sun breathing, just like in the original timeline. He starts using it and almost kills Rui, but just like before, Giyu shows up and finishes the job. After that, everything continues the same way, except now, Tanjiro already knows a bit of sun breathing while still using stone breathing as his main style. Since Tanjiro's curious about sun breathing, he asks Gyomei if he knows anything about it. Gyomei doesn't, so he tells him to go ask Rengoku about it. But Rengoku's already on the Mugen Train, which sets up the Mugen Train Arc perfectly. So we skip the Hashira meeting since that already happened, and now Inosuke, Zenitsu, Tanjiro, and Rengoku all board the Mugen Train. Everything plays out mostly the same. They all fall into Enmu's dream trap. Tanjiro and Inosuke go up top to fight Lower Moon 1, while Rengoku, Nezuko, and Zenitsu stay behind to protect the passengers. It all goes the same as the original timeline. Rengoku ends up fighting Akaza, but sadly, he still dies here. The difference is that Tanjiro's a bit stronger physically because of his stone breathing training, but he's still too inexperienced to make a huge difference in that fight. After that, Tanjiro goes on several missions with Gyomei to get stronger. Since his body's already built like a tank from Gyomei's training, he learns a lot from watching how Gyomei handles real demons. These missions give Tanjiro a big boost in strength, endurance, and battle sense. Then we move into the Entertainment District arc. Tanjiro, of course, stands up for the girls that Tengen was trying to take for undercover missions. So Inosuke, Zenitsu, and Tanjiro all head to the district together, and everything starts off basically the same. When the fight with Daki begins, everything plays out almost exactly like the original. Tanjiro still gets that bloodshot eye moment from overusing his breathing, because he still feels like he's not special. He doesn't have a Demon Slayer mark or anything, but his body can handle a lot more now because of stone breathing, so he lasts longer in the fight. He still ends up passing out from exhaustion. Nezuko comes out and saves him, and then Tengen, Inosuke, and Zenitsu show up. After Nezuko calms down, Tanjiro puts her back in the box, and the rest of the fight goes just like before. Once the battle's over, instead of falling into a long coma, Tanjiro's body holds up better. His strength from Gyomei's training helps him recover faster, though he's still badly hurt. After a bit of recovery, he starts going on a few more missions with Gyomei again to continue his training. His sword takes a lot of damage during these missions, so he requests a new one, but it never arrives in time. So he heads to the Swordsmith Village, and that's where we start the next arc. So, we're gonna skip all the dialogue in the Swordsmith Village arc and get straight into the fighting. It starts when Muichiro pinches Tanjiro's nose to wake him up, and Upper Moon 4, the one with the 4 emotion clones, shows up. Everything here basically plays out the same, but with some big differences. Muichiro still gets blasted away early in the fight since Tanjiro isn't as strong as in the original timeline, but this time, Tanjiro's body is way tougher from his training with Gyomei. Now Tanjiro's using the red blade and finally activates his Demon Slayer mark during this battle while holding off all 4 emotion clones to give Genya and Nezuko time to recover. While that's going on, Muichiro is fighting Upper Moon 5, Gyoko. Just like in the original story, Mitsuri shows up to help save the village from Gyoko's fish demons, rescues the chief, and joins in to help Tanjiro. Once the 4 emotion clones fuse into one powerful body, Mitsuri holds off the main clone, while Tanjiro, Nezuko, and Genya go after the real main body of Upper Moon 4. Muichiro defeats Gyoko by this point and finds Tanjiro's new sword. He throws it to Tanjiro for the final attack. Tanjiro catches it mid-fight, rushes in, and slices off Upper Moon 4's head, ending the battle. Nezuko still becomes immune to sunlight, just like in the original timeline. And with that, we move straight into the Hashira Training Arc. Now the Hashira Training Arc is obviously different, because after the Hashira meeting, and everyone learns about Tanjiro unlocking the Demon Slayer mark, Gyomei takes him personally under his wing. After he wakes up and heals from his injuries in the Swordsmith Village, Gyomei works with him directly to help him control the Demon Slayer mark, to make it activate whenever he wants, and spends extra time helping him master that skill, since Tanjiro is basically his successor. By this point, Tanjiro and Genya are best friends, because they've been training together by Gyomei's side since almost day 1. Tanjiro still trains with all the other Hashira, but he gets way more one-on-one training with Gyomei, who teaches him how to better manage the mark and strengthen his physical limits even more. Now we move to when the Ubuyashiki family head dies. Muzan kills him, and everyone gets pulled into the Infinity Castle, starting the Infinity Castle arc. Everything here plays out mostly the same. Giyu and Tanjiro fight Akaza. Doma fights Shinobu, Inosuke, and Kanao, and they face off Doma, Sanemi, Genya, Gyomei, and Muichiro versus Kokushibo, Zenitsu versus Kaigaku, and Yushiro, Mitsuri, and Obanai versus the Biwa woman, Nakime. So let's start with the Upper Moon 3 fight first. That fight goes almost exactly the same. Giyu and Tanjiro team up against Akaza. Giyu unlocks his Demon Slayer mark and holds Akaza off long enough for Tanjiro to enter the transparent world and the selfless state, finishing the fight by cutting Akaza down for good. Next, the Upper Moon 2 battle happens just like before. Shinobu sacrifices herself, Doma absorbs her, and the poison eventually kills him, while Kanao and Inosuke work together to finish him off. Then we get the Upper Moon 1 fight. Muichiro reaches Kokushibo first, gets his hand sliced off, and is pinned to the wall. Genya gets badly injured too, but Sanemi and Gyomei arrive to help. Muichiro rips himself free, holds Kokushibo down, and with Genya's demon powers helping, Sanemi and Gyomei finish Kokushibo off. Muichiro and Genya both die in this timeline, just like the original, but this time, it hits Tanjiro a lot harder, because Tanjiro has known Genya way longer in this version, training with him, fighting alongside him, and becoming best friends. Their deaths hit him even deeper emotionally. Next, we go to Zenitsu versus Kaigaku, which happens exactly the same. Zenitsu wins with his 7th form of thunder breathing. Finally, Yushiro, Mitsuri, and Obanai versus the Biwa woman also plays out the same. They help Yushiro take control of Nakime's blood demon art, letting him manipulate the Infinity Castle. Once Muzan realizes Yushiro has taken control, he kills Nakime himself, which causes the Infinity Castle to collapse. Yushiro manages to get everyone out safely, and that takes us straight into the final battle, the Sunrise Countdown Arc. And this time, it plays out a little differently. While Tanjiro is still getting treated by the medics, all the Hashira are out on the front lines fighting Muzan, and they're getting completely destroyed. Muzan unleashes one massive blast that wipes through the area, knocking out almost everyone. Gyomei loses a leg, and most of the Hashira are badly injured, completely worn down. Eventually, Tanjiro jumps back into the fight, using sun breathing and remembering the flashbacks of Yoriichi showing him where all of Muzan's 7 hearts are. He uses that knowledge and his perfected sun breathing to push through the pain and fight at full strength. The only reason Tanjiro can even keep up with Muzan is because Muzan's body is being slowed down by Tamayo's poison. The poison makes him weaker and slower every second, and his hair even starts turning white as he struggles to keep his body together after hundreds of years of transformation and regeneration. Obanai and Tanjiro team up to fight Muzan, while the remaining Hashira, Sanemi and Giyu, join in to pin him down. After an intense final battle, Tanjiro finally lands the finishing blow, and Muzan dies just like in the original timeline. But even after Muzan's death, Tanjiro still ends up turning into Demon King Tanjiro, and Kanao has to stab him with the human serum. She manages to bring him back to normal, saving his life and ending the fight for good. In this version, the two surviving Hashira are Sanemi and Giyu, but both of them eventually die at age 25 because of the Demon Slayer mark. Nezuko becomes human again thanks to the serum, and Tanjiro's left arm is still messed up from the battle, but he and Kanao get married and live peacefully until he passes away at 25. Zenitsu and Nezuko also end up together, getting happily married and living long, peaceful lives after everything that happened. So yeah, this timeline is definitely a bit sadder, but still ends with hope. Make sure you guys go check What If Rengoku Survived. So, let's get right into it. Everything in Season 1 happens exactly the same, and Tanjiro still wants to go on the Mugen Train because he wants to see if Rengoku knows anything about sun breathing. They board the train, fall asleep, and break out of their dreams in Lower Moon 1 Enmu's trap. Tanjiro and Inosuke go to kill Enmu, while Rengoku, Nezuko, and Zenitsu stay on board protecting the civilians. Then the train crashes, and now we're at the point with Akaza. So how do we make Rengoku survive? There are a few possibilities. One is that Rengoku accepts Akaza's offer, but if you guys want that version, let me know in the comments and I'll make that timeline next. Another possibility is that Rengoku awakens his Demon Slayer mark and pushes through until sunrise. That's extremely difficult because Akaza was holding back during their fight, and he never lets a Hashira survive unless they become a demon. The only real way Rengoku can unlock the mark is if Tanjiro already has his, because others can only awaken it after Tanjiro does. So, let's say while fighting Enmu and trapped in those dreams, Tanjiro's body experiences a life-threatening situation that triggers the mark. That way, when Rengoku fights Akaza, Tanjiro's mark gives him that slight power boost to survive. Akaza takes the battle more seriously, but it still ends with him fleeing because of the sunrise. Rengoku is still severely injured but alive. He's brought back to the Demon Slayer Corp to heal, marking the first major change in this timeline. Right after Rengoku heals up, Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu train even harder. If you guys remember in the original timeline, Rengoku said all of them would be his Tsuguko, which I think is pretty cool. So, let's get into it. They all start serious training, and this gives them more time together before Rengoku announces that plan. I think Inosuke would train with the stone Hashira, since Rengoku is showing off his new Tsuguko to the other Hashira. Zenitsu would just train with whoever he can, but Tanjiro and Rengoku would mostly train together because their styles are somewhat similar. Of course, sun breathing is the most powerful and original breathing style in the entire series. Every other one is just an altered version of it. So Tanjiro training alongside Rengoku would make a lot of sense. Now, for the Entertainment District arc, I think Rengoku would go there with Tengen, Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke since they were hunting a strong demon, and Rengoku and Tengen are good friends. So, two Hashira go on this mission together. Everything plays out mostly the same until Tanjiro versus Daki. Rengoku would jump in alongside Tanjiro to fight her, and with his strength, he'd slice off Daki's head easily, just like Tengen did in the original story. With both Rengoku and Tengen having their Demon Slayer marks, they'd be able to fight Gyutaro and Daki together. Tanjiro would match up well against Daki without having to go berserk or get bloody eyes since he has his mark, and Rengoku could keep up with Gyutaro alone using his flame breathing and his mark. The only issue here is the poison. Rengoku isn't immune to poison like Tengen, and even Tengen struggled with Gyutaro's poison, so that becomes a big problem. But with Tengen, Zenitsu, and Inosuke jumping in to help, they finish the fight much easier in this timeline. After the battle, Nezuko heals Rengoku, Tanjiro, Inosuke, Zenitsu, and Tengen. And this time, Tengen doesn't lose an arm, since there was another Hashira there. Tengen also unlocks his Demon Slayer mark during this fight. Next comes the Swordsmith Village arc. Tanjiro still needs a new sword, since his current one is chipped from training with sun breathing. Everything in this arc happens pretty much the same, because Rengoku doesn't have a reason to go. His sword is still in perfect condition. Then we move on to the Hashira Training Arc. Rengoku is a major part of this one, making sure everyone's forms and breathing techniques are correct. Fun fact, Rengoku actually trained Mitsuri in the past. She originally tried to learn flame breathing, but couldn't get the hang of it, which led her to create love breathing. So, Rengoku would definitely be involved in this arc, helping the other Hashira refine their techniques. Now, we get to when the master, Kagaya Ubuyashiki, dies at Muzan's hands, and everyone gets trapped in the Infinity Castle. In this version, Tanjiro and Rengoku team up to fight Upper Moon 3 Akaza, while Giyu joins the Upper Moon to fight with Shinobu, Kanao, and Inosuke. The Upper Moon 1 battle stays the same as the original timeline, with Tengen protecting the Ubuyashiki family alongside Rengoku's father. So, most things happen similarly to the original timeline, but now Rengoku is much stronger thanks to his Demon Slayer mark. He holds out long enough for Tanjiro to learn the selfless state and kill Akaza for good. Akaza remembers his human life and his wife, then chooses to end himself. In the Upper Moon 2 fight, Shinobu doesn't have to sacrifice herself this time. She said it takes 3 Hashira level fighters to defeat Doma, and now they have exactly that. Kanao and Inosuke together are basically 1 Hashira level. Shinobu is 1, and Giyu, being the 3rd strongest Hashira, is the 3rd. Together, with Shinobu's poison weakening Doma, Giyu's defensive water breathing, and Kanao's precise eyesight, they manage to kill Doma without losing anyone. The Upper Moon 1 battle still goes mostly the same, so Muichiro and Genya still die. That's the sad part, but at least Shinobu survives in this timeline. After the Infinity Castle collapses, Zenitsu beats Kaigaku with his new 7th form, and Mitsuri and Obanai fight alongside Yushiro, the good demon, against the Biwa woman. Yushiro takes control of the castle, but Muzan notices, kills the Biwa woman, and forces Yushiro to eject everyone out of the Infinity Castle, setting the stage for the final battle, the Sunrise Countdown Arc. Well, to be real with you guys, I think Rengoku would die here because he's such a protective person. He would throw himself in front of attacks to save the other Hashira. But for this timeline, we're going to say Rengoku survives. So I'm going to say most of the Hashira survive, except for Mitsuri, Obanai, and Gyomei. Mitsuri dies just like in the original timeline. Obanai dies on the front lines with Tanjiro, and the stone Hashira, Gyomei, also dies in this version. Everyone else helps defeat Muzan, just like in the original timeline, but this time with Rengoku's help. Shinobu survives and ends up with Giyu. They get happily married. Sanemi survives. Rengoku survives. So this version actually ends with a happy ending. What if the main trio turned into demons? So I could just imagine them being demons. And you guys voted this for my newest post. So make sure to check that out if you guys want to vote for the next video I make. But let's first go over Inosuke and how he changes, and what his blood demon art would be, and how strong he would be. So Inosuke has that weird looking, kind of girl looking face, and he wears a boar mask, so I think he would put that into his demon form while evolving into a demon. I think he would be a little bit furry, maybe have a full boar mask type face, but he would still wear the boar mask. I don't think he would have a whole different face. I think he would have longer, sharper nails and resemble an actual boar even more. His pain tolerance is already insane, but now he's a demon, so that doesn't matter. His flexibility is on a whole new level. He could split his body apart and just regenerate instantly. His strength is going to be on a whole different level. I think he would definitely be one of the Upper Moons. He already has animal-like movement and speed, so as a demon he'd be crazy. I don't think he uses a sword anymore. I think he would fight with bare hands and claws like a boar. He would basically be like Akaza with hand-to-hand combat. His instincts would be even crazier than his human version. Beast breathing mixed with his demon body would be insane. Blood demon art, Predator Zone. So you guys know Akaza's death compass. His would basically be like that, but instead it's a predator zone. It's like 5 to 10 meters around him, and he can sense anybody in it. It's like he's hunting prey. He can see the exact weak point and how to kill them instantly. It's a little more broken than Akaza's ability, honestly. Plus, his muscles probably become like steel when he uses this, so he hits way harder, and it's harder to cut his limbs off. Now let's go to Zenitsu. Zenitsu mainly relies on thunder breathing, which puts most of the force into his legs to move faster. He has to have a sword, so he would still use a sword, and only use first form, but his blood demon art would make up for that. His hearing would be ascended, basically like a bat. He can hear waves of sound, every echo, every vibration. He has crazy fight decision making, even while unconscious. His speed, strength, and reflexes are off the charts now. If we are counting Zenitsu after Infinity Castle, then he even has 7th form too. Blood demon art, sword flash resonance. This weaponizes sound plus lightning. It makes him basically real lightning. You know how Kokushibo has the crescent blades? Zenitsu would make actual lightning blades, like Kagaku's breathing style, but even more deadly. He could do sonic lightning that slices targets at the speed of sound. He could vibrate your bones and organs from inside. He could make sound shock waves explode outwards like thunder. Thunderclap and flash would become actual lightning. Oh yeah, in this video, we are going over not just the trio Inosuke, Zenitsu, and Tanjiro. We are also going over Kanao and Genya. So let's go over Kanao's abilities as a demon. She already has really good speed, strength, agility, sword skill. so that gets a demon boost. She would obviously still use a sword, and she would have precision sword control, even better than she did as a human. Her eye technique she used against Doma would be even stronger now, and she could regenerate her eye every time it becomes blind, so she could spam that technique all she wants. Blood Demon Art Illumination. She makes petals made of demonic light that blurs reality and distorts the opponent's senses, so all their senses go crazy. Their sight, their smell, their feeling, their hearing, everything gets messed up. She could make clones like how Doma made ice clones, but hers are made out of petals. So her whole Blood Demon art is controlling petals that mess with senses, and she can regenerate her eye over and over again for her eye ability. Now let's go with Genya. So Genya already has a natural Shanghari type body. We basically already saw him become a little bit like a demon, because he can eat demons and grab their traits. He can grab regenerating and some of their Blood Demon arts, just like we saw in the Infinity Castle arc. But if he fully turned into a demon, I think his demon form would just be a little bit taller, stronger, and all his abilities would just be boosted way more. Blood Demon Art, Devouring Geneforge. He can steal the opponent's demon power instantly and reshape it inside his own body, so he can literally steal other demons' abilities. You guys know Ryo from Blue Lock or Ryota Kisi? It's basically kind of like that, but he just steals other demons' abilities. So he could steal Kokushibo's Blood Demon Art. He could steal Akaza's Blood Demon Art. He could steal Doma's Blood Demon Art. He can steal all of them and use it as his own powers, and he can mix some of them too. So that is his broken Blood Demon Art. Now let's go with Tanjiro. So Tanjiro has natural kindness, so Muzan would probably need to take all that out. So the only memories Tanjiro keeps is the selfless state, his dad's memories using the selfless state, and him learning sun breathing. So he's someone who's going to learn way more. And he already has naturally better smell. So just like Zenitsu and Inosuke, with them being demons and getting heightened senses, Tanjiro would have a heightened version of his smell. He'll be bigger, stronger, he gets the demon boost, and he can regen. And his Blood Demon art is pretty self-explanatory. Just like Kokushibo's Blood Demon art makes crescent blades, Tanjiro would make fire while using sun breathing. He can literally create fire when he swings his sword in sun-breathing forms. So that's basically his Blood Demon art. It's super basic, but it's also super powerful. My favorite one is still Genya's though. Personally, I like copying abilities in anime. Let me know which Blood Demon art you guys like the best in this whole video. Now, let's rank the upper moons. Tanjiro would take the top spot from Kokushibo. After a couple years of mastering his demon form and Blood Demon art, he would definitely surpass Kokushibo. Sun breathing is naturally stronger than moon breathing, so Tanjiro eventually cuts Kokushibo down. Tanjiro becomes upper 1. Zenitsu would be upper moon 6. He could literally blitz Daki and Gyutaro and slice their heads off faster than they can react. Kanao would be upper moon 5. She can mask her presence and mess with senses, and her precision sword style would let her outplay Gyoko easily. Genya would be upper moon 4. He can steal other demons' abilities, so he can beat all the emotion clones, find the main body, and kill it. Inosuke would be upper moon 3, because his abilities would already be on par, or better than Akaza's. Doma would obviously stay upper moon 2, so that's where they all would rank. What if Tanjiro had the solo leveling power system? You guys requested this from my post, so make sure to check out my post if you want to pick what videos I do next. So let's get right into this. Now I know Tanjiro, so what we're going to do here is only have the system for Tanjiro. In solo leveling, Jinwoo got the system by basically dying, and the system asked him if he wanted to survive, and then revived him with that weird statue demon thing. Demon Slayer doesn't have that exact statue demon, but let's just say this time Tanjiro gets it through like God or something. So let's say when Tanjiro was about to go sell coal, he doesn't. Maybe he gets hurt, or he's really sick, and Muzan shows up, injects a bunch of blood, and kills most of the Kamado family. Tanjiro is on the brink of death, and the system box pops up. Do you want to live? And obviously, he hits yes, because he wants to save Nezuko. Then he wakes up in his house, and he's perfectly fine. His limbs are okay, everything looks normal, and he saved his sister. Then Giyu meets him, and fights him like normal, and then sends him to Urokodaki's place to learn water breathing. So at Urokodaki's place, Tanjiro starts asking questions about why he can see some weird screen. Just like how Jinwoo was confused at the start, Tanjiro is messing with the screens. He's thinking like, I don't need to do these quests, because he's already doing training anyway with the sword. But the system has its own expectations. His daily quests are 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, 10-kilometer run, which is 6.2 miles. Tanjiro might be able to do half of that because his focus is sword training. Maybe he completes the run because he runs up and down the mountain training. But 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, he's probably not matching the exact numbers yet, and he probably thinks nothing of it until he gets teleported into that penalty zone. This is that creepy place with those snake bug-looking monsters chasing him. In the Demon Slayer verse, Demon Slayers are already crazy fast, so I think he could outrun them, but it would drain him, and he randomly disappears from Urokodaki's place, so Tanjiro tries to keep that secret, saying he was using the bathroom or something. Now he's scared to skip the quests again, so after that, Tanjiro starts doing both his water-breathing training and the daily quests. He now actually does 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and the 6.2-mile run every day. So he's leveling up while doing that training. But Tanjiro doesn't truly level up heavy until final selection, because in solo leveling, Jinwoo leveled up the most by killing tons of goblins in that dungeon, and in Demon Slayer final selection, Tanjiro kills a bunch of demons, and his big boss is the Hand Demon. That would basically act like his dungeon boss fight, and that is where Tanjiro would get most of his first big level ups in this version. So, in final selection, he starts cutting down a bunch of demons, and he realizes he gets XP and extra potions and stuff. He really doesn't know what most of them do at first unless he reads them, and he doesn't get anything really crazy or new yet. He wants to keep his sword, because all the system gives him is different types of weapons, and they are low-level weapons too. He doesn't know if those are real Nichiren blades or not, so he doesn't take any, but he does use the potions to heal up. So instead of just surviving final selection, he is actually hunting down every single demon to get more XP. Then he meets the Hand Demon, and he cuts him down way faster than in the original timeline, since he is all healthy from the potions, and he is constantly leveling up, getting even stronger. And by the end of final selection, he's level 15, just like solo leveling when Jinwoo finished his first dungeon. So level 15, Tanjiro goes around killing demons and getting more XP, testing out new weapons like daggers and stuff just like Jinwoo did, but he mainly sticks with the normal katana. I don't think he would dual wield or use daggers, but maybe later he gets an upgraded katana. Tanjiro is going around killing demons. He kills the Swamp Demon, he kills the Drum Demon, and most of the demons he normally fights in the story. He eventually meets Inosuke and Zenitsu along the way. He's about level 35 by the time they reach Rui Mountain. Zenitsu still stays back because he's scared, and Tanjiro and Inosuke run up the hill killing a bunch of demons, helping the other demon slayers out. He's leveling up more and more. He kills the Mother Demon, that levels him up. He kills the Dad Demon, that levels him up to around level 44 or 45. Then he faces Rui with Nezuko getting hurt and all that. Now, he's way stronger than in the original timeline, and he has health potions, so he can constantly keep going. And when his sword gets broken by Rui, he pulls out another Nichiren blade from his inventory just in case, and finishes Rui off. And then, he unlocks what I think is the most broken ability. I'm super excited about this part. He now unlocks Shadow Extraction. After he defeats Rui, he reads the screen, and just like Jinwoo did to the knight in Solo Leveling Season 1, he says, "Arise." He says it again, because Rui was weaker than that knight. Rui finally rises on the second "Arise." Now he can store shadows, and he unlocks the whole Shadow Extraction technique. Giyu and Shinobu show up. Shinobu handles that other demon, while Giyu sees what's going on. Then the Hashira Meeting begins. They ask why he's traveling with a demon again. The same thing with Sanemi happens, but Tanjiro fights back even more now since he's leveled up, and way stronger than the original timeline. And now he knows sun breathing just a little bit. They all accept Nezuko because of Giyu, and Urokodaki vouching for her. And now, the Mugen Train begins. After healing up, Tanjiro wants to know more about sun breathing, so he thinks Rengoku might know something about it. So he boards the Mugen Train. They all fall asleep like normal. He already told Zenitsu and Inosuke about his abilities, so they know he can still use shadows. He takes down Lower Moon One with Inosuke, while Rengoku, Nezuko, and Zenitsu are protecting the train. Tanjiro then uses a rise on Lower Moon One, and it works, but he only rises his normal demon body, not the whole train. Then Upper Moon 3 shows up. When Akaza shows up, Tanjiro doesn't get stabbed this time, because he can just heal with his potions. So he jumps into the fight with Rengoku instantly, since he's basically healed already. And plus, Rengoku heals up too, from Tanjiro helping him. Tanjiro is probably around level 50 at this point, so he's obviously super strong, way stronger than the original timeline version, so he actually gives Rengoku real backup this time. And on top of that, he throws out Rui and Enmu to help them in this fight too. So now Akaza is dealing with Rui's pressure, Enmu's dream traps, plus 2 Hashira level fighters. This fight is way harder for him. Akaza starts getting pushed back all the way until the sun is about to rise. But Tanjiro still doesn't have the selfless state yet, So Akaza can just sense his battle intent and predict his swings, and he makes sure no one is behind him. So Akaza still escapes, but Tanjiro gets Enmu as a new Shadow Soldier. Now this is a brand new ability in the Demon Slayer course. When Rengoku, Tanjiro, Inosuke, Zenitsu, and Nezuko get back to headquarters, everyone is weirded out by it, and they start doing research on this ability. Also, Sanemi and Tanjiro probably get way better in this timeline, because Sanemi maybe actually apologizes to Tanjiro about his sister and everything, and Tanjiro uses his shadows to train, because now he has basically 2 lower moons to spar against, so he can get to Hashira level way faster. So he's probably like level 55 by the time the Entertainment District arc starts. I'm going to skip most of the dialogue. They dress up as women, they look for Upper Moon 6 Daki, and they finally locate her. Now everything begins when Tanjiro versus Daki starts. His eyes go red again, and he goes crazy fast, while Tengen, Inosuke, and Zenitsu are fighting the belt half of Daki. And before this arc started, Tanjiro already went on some missions, so he actually has like 2 or 3 extra demons he can throw out now. But Rui and Enmu are still his main heavy hitters, so when the fight begins, Tanjiro rises some demons to distract Daki. He uses Rui's threads to counter her belts, thread versus belt, and it actually works. This forces Daki to go full power way sooner. Tanjiro keeps Enmu by him, while Rui fights with 3 other demons to hold Daki back. Daki still has the upper hand since she's an upper moon, but because Rui has 3 extra demons backing him, they're actually keeping up. So Tanjiro finally finds an opening and cuts off Daki's head from behind with sun breathing, which triggers Gyutaro to pop out way earlier than the original timeline. Now both siblings are active at the same time, so Tanjiro uses Enmu's dream traps to stall Gyutaro, while Rui and the other demons stall Daki. Nezuko never gets out of her box in this version, because Tanjiro already had the situation handled. When Tengen arrives, instead of the whole Nezuko moment, he's shocked at this new shadow ability Tanjiro has. Then with Tengen, Inosuke, Zenitsu, plus Rui, Enmu, and the shadows, they basically just jump them. They defeat Gyutaro and Daki way easier in this timeline. Tanjiro then uses Arise on both of them. He gets Daki and Gyutaro as shadows. That is an insane upgrade, because those are upper moons. Nezuko heals everyone from the poison, and since Tengen never loses his arm in this timeline, he probably doesn't retire. Tanjiro doesn't go into a coma either, since he barely got damaged. So instead of 3 months in a hospital bed, he spends 3 months doing missions and training. He gets like 20 more demons added to his shadow army. Now we go to the Swordsmith Village arc. Tanjiro goes because he wants more Nichiren blades to store in his inventory. I'm skipping dialogue. He meets Mitsuri, Muichiro, and Genya. When Muichiro clamps his nose, Tanjiro secretly puts a shadow inside Muichiro, just like how Jinwoo did with S ranks during the Ant arc. At this point, Tanjiro is stronger than every Hashira because he uses sun breathing and shadows. Upper Moon 4 shows up and splits into the emotion clones. Muichiro still gets blasted away, so Tanjiro, Nezuko, and Genya fight all the clones. Tanjiro summons Rui, Enmu, and then Daki and Gyutaro, because those are his strongest shadows now. Daki distracts clones with her belts, and Gyutaro supports with poison attacks, while Rui and the other demons block hits. While all the shadows are fighting clones, Tanjiro, Nezuko, and Genya rush the main body much earlier, so the emotions combine sooner into the big emotion clone. Mitsuri comes back to the village fight, but because Tanjiro's shadows are helping, Mitsuri barely gets hurt, so she never even has to unlock her Demon Slayer mark. Muichiro meanwhile still fights Upper Moon 5 and wins the same way. He unlocks his mark, kills Gyoko, grabs the new Nichiren blade, and throws it to Tanjiro. Tanjiro catches the blade, rushes back, and kills Upper Moon 4 easy. Nezuko still becomes immune to sunlight. Tanjiro arises Upper Moon 4, which now gives him all 4 emotion clones as shadows. Upper Moon 5's body is gone, so he cannot arise him. Now Muzan is pissed, because not only does Nezuko survive the sun, now Tanjiro is stealing his upper moons. But now we move into the Hashira Training Arc. And so Tanjiro obviously has his Demon Slayer mark, so after the Swordsmith Village he doesn't need healed up, because he was basically protected the whole time, and he also has health potions he can give everybody. But anyway, they still try to regulate the Demon Slayer marks, and Mitsuri does not unlock the Demon Slayer mark, so only Muichiro and Tanjiro have their marks in this timeline. So the Hashira Training Arc basically goes the same, but this time, Tanjiro has shadow demons. And I think he would give the Hashira Upper Moon 6, Upper Moon 4, all the lower moons, and even small demons he has stored, so the whole Demon Slayer Corps can train with actual Upper Moon demons. So they are way more experienced and way more stronger in this timeline because of Tanjiro's shadow demons. So when Tanjiro is training with all the Hashira, he also puts some lower moon demons inside the Hashira just in case, so he can teleport to them. Just like Jinwoo, he has the teleport ability where he can switch places with his shadows at any time. Everything still happens the same after that. The Ubuyashiki family leader dies when Muzan blows him up, and everything from that point happens exactly the same. Tamayo injects the poison into Muzan, and then everyone gets dropped into the Infinity Castle. But things are different now. So now let's go over the matchups. Tanjiro versus Upper Moon, 3 Akaza, Tanjiro solo, Jiyu, Shinobu, Kanao, and Inosuke together, Genya, Muichiro, Sanemi, and Gyomei. Same as original side battles like Zenitsu versus Kaigaku, Nakime versus Mitsuri, Obanai, and Yushiro. Now let's go over Tanjiro's fight versus Akaza first. Tanjiro brings out Daki and Gyutaro to hold off Upper Moon 3. Their regeneration and respawn is insane because Tanjiro can just re-summon them. Tanjiro finally unlocks his selfless state and transparent world, and that gives him enough time to cut off Akaza's head and defeat Akaza like the original timeline. So Tanjiro uses the transparent world and cuts off Akaza's head. So that's how Akaza versus Tanjiro goes. And after that, Tanjiro looks through his shadows to check on the other fights. He pops shadows out to see Shinobu and Gyu's fight, and their fight is doing pretty okay. Shinobu is getting a little hurt, but since basically 3 Hashira level fighters are there, Kanao and Inosuke together basically count as 1 Hashira, and Gyu and Shinobu are 2 Hashira. And Shinobu already said that you need about 3 Hashira to even beat Doma. Tanjiro sees they are doing good enough. He sends shadows to help them a little bit, just to make sure none of them die. But on the other hand, the Upper Moon 1 fight is going really bad. Muichiro is pinned against a pole with a sword in his chest, and Genya is about to die, while Sanemi and Gyomei are fighting Kokushibo. Tanjiro teleports there, using his shadow switching ability. He pulls Muichiro down and tells him to rest, gives him a full high-level potion to heal everything, then gives Genya another potion to save him too. Then Tanjiro jumps into the Upper Moon 1 fight along with Gyomei and Sanemi. Oh yeah, I forgot. Tanjiro also arises Akaza after the fight, so now Akaza is fighting for him. And Tanjiro already arised Upper Moon 4 with all the emotion clones earlier. So now he brings all of them, Akaza, Upper Moon 4 clones, Gyutaro, and Daki, and they all help overwhelm Kokushibo. They cut off his head, and Kokushibo dies with his flashback like normal. Then Tanjiro teleports to the Doma fight. Shinobu is almost dead. She's totally spent, but Tanjiro shows up and heals her up with his potions. With Tanjiro plus Akaza, plus Upper Moon 4 plus Gyutaro plus Daki, they jump Doma and make sure he is 100% dead. Everything else plays out the same. Tanjiro knows Zenitsu wanted to fight Kaigaku alone, so he lets Zenitsu fight him alone, and Zenitsu kills Kaigaku with 7th form. And Nakime versus Mitsuri, Obanai, and Yushiro also happens basically the same. Now Muzan knows he is getting backed into a corner. Tanjiro literally just arised Doma and Upper Moon 1 Kokushibo, so Muzan is in trouble. But Muzan's arrogance still shows. He thinks none of them can touch him anyway, so he kills Nakimi, the Biwa woman, because she was being controlled by Yushiro. And then Yushiro uses his control to flick the castle apart and get all the demon slayers out of the Infinity Castle, which leads into the Sunrise Countdown arc. So Tanjiro, instead of being down and out, he just regens instantly, or he just uses one of his potions. And this final fight is going to be crazy, because when Muzan pulls up and all the Hashira rush him like in the original, Tanjiro stops them. Tanjiro puts Akaza, Doma, and Upper Moon 1 Kokushibo directly against Muzan, while he uses Enmu, Rui, Upper Moon 4, with all the emotion clones, plus Daki and Gyutaro, to protect the Hashira and make sure the Hashira barely even have to fight. Tanjiro wants to make sure none of the Hashira die in this version, so while Muzan is slowing down because of Tamayo's poison, Upper Moon 1, Doma, and Akaza basically jump Muzan and drag him towards Sunrise, and that makes Muzan die way faster. Tanjiro never becomes Demon King. Now for after the battle. I think Tanjiro would disband all the shadow demons he has, because the mission is done. They can move on to hell, or heaven, or wherever they go. The war is over. Gyomei doesn't have the Demon Slayer mark, so he doesn't die. Only Muichiro and Tanjiro had marks, and I think Tanjiro would use the system to heal the Demon Slayer mark like a stat curse, and give Muichiro a potion to cure it too. So the future is way happier. Kanao and Tanjiro get together, get married, and have kids. Shinobu and Gyu get together, so Shinobu's bloodline doesn't die off. Muichiro's bloodline lives on too. Gyomei lives a long, peaceful life. Sanemi lives. Mitsuri and Obanai also get a happy ending and get married. Most of the Hashira get a good life in this version, and this took me a long time to make. So if you guys want early access to my videos, my membership is down below. What if Muichiro Tokito reached his full potential? In the original series, Muichiro never truly reached his full potential because he died at just 14 years old. Even so, he put up an incredible fight, unlocking the transparent world and turning his blade red. But even then, he was nowhere close to what he could have been. Remember, Muichiro comes from the bloodline of Kokushibo, who was the brother of Yoriichi Tsugikuni, the strongest demon slayer to ever live. That means Muichiro's potential runs insanely deep. Some even say that if he had lived longer, more trained, he might have been able to stand on Yoriichi's level. And keep in mind, Muichiro became a Hashira in just 2 months of joining the Corps. That's how crazy his talent was. So, in this what if, we're going to scale how strong Muichiro would be in his prime, and how he even gets there. To do that, we have to adjust his backstory a little. Instead of being born in the original timeline, let's shift his birth 5 years or 10 years earlier. That way, by the time the big battles begin, he's older, more experienced, and closer to his true potential. His backstory still hits the same tragic beats. His mother dies from illness. His father goes out to gather herbs to save her, but he falls off a cliff and never returns. After that, Muichiro and his brother live alone until a demon attacks. His brother sacrifices himself to protect him. In a blind rage, Muichiro fights the demon all night, managing to kill it by sunrise, but collapses on the brink of death. Here's where it changes. The Ubuyashiki family finds him much earlier than in the original, and the reason they'd find him isn't a stretch. They were probably keeping close tabs on the Tokito family, since this bloodline was one of the most trusted and gifted among swordsmen in Japan. From here, Muichiro is taken in by the Corps and begins training way earlier, which sets him up to truly reach his full potential later on. So, in the original timeline, Muichiro Tokito became a Hashira at just 14 years old after only 2 months of training. But in this version, he has an extra 5 or 6 years to grow before the main events of the story, meaning by the time Tanjiro enters, Muichiro is already in his prime at around 20 years old. Now, before we jump into how this affects the story, let's scale his prime power level. First off, I don't think Muichiro would ever change his breathing style. Mist breathing is something he created himself, and it perfectly suits his personality and fighting style. On top of that, he even uses his oversized clothing to make his movements harder to read, which makes his mist techniques even deadlier. Quick little fact here, mist breathing isn't just a branch of wind breathing, it's its own unique style. So where does Prime Muichiro scale? Let's compare him to Gyomei Himejima, the stone Hashira, who's considered the strongest in the Corps. Gyomei became a Hashira in 2 months as well, the same as Muichiro, but in the original timeline, we already saw him maxed out, with years of training, incredible physical strength, and insane experience. But here's the key difference. All that hard work and strength can't always beat raw talent, and Muichiro's raw talent is off the charts. In his prime, I think he'd have better speed, sharper swordsmanship, and superior technique compared to Gyomei. Gyomei might still have more raw strength, but overall, I'd put prime Muichiro at least equal to Gyomei, or even stronger. So in this timeline, Muichiro becomes one of the strongest Hashira of his entire generation, hitting his full potential. Now let's plug this into the actual story. Tanjiro's family still dies. He goes through Season 1 and Season 2 the same way. But by the time we reach Season 3, the Swordsmith Village arc, Muichiro is no longer a prodigy child. He's a full-grown Hashira in his prime, standing at the top with the strongest of them all. Now Tanjiro heads to the Swordsmith Village for a brand new sword, and at first everything plays out the same as the original timeline. Muichiro comes into Tanjiro's room to ask if he's seen the missing swordsmith, and of course they don't know. But then Muichiro senses Upper Moon 4, Hantengu, right away. He slices off his head, splitting him into 4 different emotions. This time though, Muichiro is way faster and way more experienced. With all his extra years of growth, he doesn't get blasted away. He keeps up with the 4 emotions while Tanjiro, Nezuko, and Genya go after the main body. Muichiro can handle the clones even when they merge into a single powerful form. It's here that he activates his Demon Slayer mark, boosting his strength, speed, and awareness to new levels. In his prime, Muichiro completely outmatches Upper Moon 4, holding him off until Tanjiro, Nezuko, and Genya cut down the true body. Meanwhile, Mitsuri Kanroji, the love Hashira, makes her return to the village. She's still defending the chief, cutting through all of Gyoko's fish demons, and saving the swordsmiths. But in this timeline, she's the one who directly fights Upper Moon 5, Gyoko, right after Muichiro stays locked in battle with Hantengu. This time, it plays out much better for her. Mitsuri arrives in time to save the young swordsmith and his assistant from Gyoko's traps, and unlike Muichiro in the original timeline, Mitsuri doesn't get caught in the water prison. She's far more cautious, and with her long whip-like sword, she can fight from a distance. On top of that, her blade isn't dull like Muichiro's was, so she doesn't get slowed down. Mitsuri fights at her peak, awakens her Demon Slayer mark, and eventually defeats Gyoko herself. At the end of the fight, she throws Tanjiro his brand new sword, and he uses it to kill Hantengu's main body once and for all. From there, Nezuko becomes immune to sunlight, which sets Muzan's plan into motion. Knowing she's the key to his immortality, Muzan finally moves directly against the Demon Slayer core. Tanjiro and the others return to base, and this leads straight into the Hashira Training Arc. Everything goes basically the same as the original story, but now we see more of Prime Muichiro, showing the others how to push their bodies further, sharpen their techniques, and reach the limits of their marks. The training still ends the same way, but now the Hashira are even more prepared for what's coming. Now let's move into the Infinity Castle arc. We'll cover the side battles first before getting into the big one. Zenitsu versus Kaigaku plays out the same. Zenitsu uses his brand new 7th form and defeats Kaigaku. The fight against Nakimi, the Biwa woman, goes to Yushiro, Obanai, and Mitsuri. With their teamwork and Yushiro hacking into her control, they eventually take her down. Tanjiro and Giyu versus Upper Moon 3, Akaza still happens here, and after an intense fight, they manage to defeat him. For Upper Moon 2, Doma, the battle is Shinobu, Kanao, and Inosuke. In this timeline, Shinobu still sacrifices herself, filling her body with wisteria poison. With Kanao and Inosuke pushing back at the right moment, Doma is finally killed, poisoned from the inside out. Now we get to the real fight. Kokushibo, Upper Moon 1. This time, Muichiro Tokito arrives first, but unlike the original, he's not a 14-year-old prodigy. He's in his prime, a full-grown Hashira at his peak strength, and that's where things really start to change. This time, Muichiro isn't shocked at all when he faces Kokushibo. He calms himself immediately and goes straight into the fight. Unlike in the original timeline, he doesn't get his hand sliced off right at the start. Instead, he holds his ground and fights strong. Kokushibo recognizes him as part of his bloodline and says many of the same things as in the original story, but this time, he actually praises Muichiro for how powerful he's become, calling him one of the strongest demon slayers he's ever fought. He even acknowledges that Muichiro did an incredible job creating his own breathing style and pushing it to this level. Still, Kokushibo is way too strong for any demon slayer outside of Yoriichi, but in this version, Muichiro holds his own without suffering life-threatening injuries. He keeps Kokushibo occupied until Gyomei, Sanemi, and Genya arrive to back him up. Now, in the original timeline, Muichiro was heavily injured and could only help a little bit, but here, he's in his prime. A Hashira on Gyomei's level, maybe even stronger. Having two fighters of that caliber changes everything. Together, they push Kokushibo to the brink far more quickly, eventually cutting off his head. When Kokushibo regenerates, he finally admits his mistakes. Realizing the truth about his brother, Yoriichi, and seeing how far his descendants have come, he accepts defeat and chooses not to regenerate again. And that's how they win. From there, we move into the Sunrise Countdown arc. Muzan realizes that Nakime, the Biwa woman, has been compromised, so he kills her. Yushiro takes control of the Infinity Castle, and instead of being trapped, the Hashira and Demon Slayers are brought safely outside to face Muzan on the surface. In this version, the only ones who died inside the castle were Shinobu. Muichiro and Genya both survive. Now we've got another Gyomei level fighter on the battlefield, with all the Hashira battling Muzan together. They fight him incredibly well until Muzan unleashes that massive blast. Normally, most of the Hashira either die or lose a limb from it, so in this timeline, let's say Muichiro loses his left arm, but he survives and keeps fighting. From there, Muichiro joins Tanjiro and Obanai on the front lines, pushing with everything they've got until sunrise. Muichiro supports Tanjiro as he unlocks the transparent world, activates his Demon Slayer mark. Together, they help bring Muzan down once and for all. In this version, Muichiro survives the final battle, but remember, the curse of the Demon Slayer mark still lingers, so while he lives through the fight, he would only have until age 25. That gives him about 5 more years of peace, time to live happily, and maybe even continue his family's bloodline so it doesn't die out. And that's how this timeline wraps up. I hope you guys really like this what if. Let me